it an afternoon or a morning? Good morning, everybody. I think we are sort of in between. So really, it's always a pleasure to come back to Meghalaya. For many, many years, as a domestic tourist, Shillong has been a very favorite destination. And as a tour operator for last almost 2 decades, Meghalaya has been part of our active itinerary. And Meghalaya has something for everybody, whether you want to see the culture or a festival like Nongtram, or you want to do trekking, the Scots Trail, or if you want to marvel at the waterfalls, Nokalikai or the Seven Sisters. And the caving is a new sensation, and it's a big, big place for water sports. I know lots of world-class kayakers come here and do kayaking and all kind of activities. So it's really needed a hub, true to our theme today, for outdoor and nature-related activities. So really glad to have a very wonderful and distinguished list of panelists here. I kind of know almost all of them. They are very, very interesting bunch of people. So let me start with Mr. Shahwar Hussain. He is absolutely an amphibian operator. He's a motorcyclist. He runs vintage jeep tours, and also he restores all cars, classic and vintage cars, and a first-class craftsman. We doing a World War II museum, so I had 2 wooden propellers made, and if you look at them, this is really amazing work. So Shahwar, you've been connected with outdoors for many years, and I've taken part in some of your motorcycle trails, and you go to very remote places, all over the Northeast, including Meghalaya, Nagaland, Arunachal. So I'd like you to share what draws people to these remote parts of Northeast.
Thank you, Oken, and good afternoon, everyone. I've been doing this motorcycle tours for about 20 years now, almost, and I've got a lot of clients from outside India, Indian as well, and most of them come to the Northeast because they think it's, people have different conception about Northeast India. They think, the first thing they ask me, many of them are, is it safe over there? I said, yeah, of course, Northeast is as safe, is very safe, in fact, safer than the rest of the many other places in India, and also very safe for women. But they come here, they want to see the back of beyond. They wanted to see where they wanted to go to places where they cannot find a McDonald's or a KFC and all in the middle of the jungle. So things like that interest them, and like that they can, interact with the locals, the villagers, and I take them to interiors, places where there are no hotels. It's just the homestays, the local homestays where they stay. So the culture, the tradition, the natural beauty, everything, these are the things that interest them. That's why they come back.
Yeah, excellent, input from you, and of course, lots of misunderstanding of what Northeast is to not only our mainland Indian, our compatriots, but even viewed from outside. Some small incident happened in one corner, they think the whole place is disturbed. And even for myself, the first time I went to Nagaland, I think way back in 1999, I was waiting for a bullet to come and hit me, but 20 years down the line, it's the safest place and most friendly people. So we really have to make an effort to break this stereotyping and generalization, And Delhi, I keep on telling people, there are more people dying in Delhi in road accidents than people that die of insurgency and all this in Northeast. It's a very, very safest place on earth, as far as my experience. So, taking the session forward, we have Prabir here on my left. So Prabir is one of the founders of a place called Wild Mahseer. I think it's definitely one of the big example of what luxury accommodation is in Northeast, and based on a heritage colonial theme. Wild Mahseer is a 145 years old structure. Now it's an heritage property, and then So in the beginning, I was in a part of the process when the place was being set up, and just looking at the kind of price tag they were deciding, I was thinking, "Aisa mein koi aayega bhi kya?" But people started lining up right from Maharani Gayatri Devi, Amir Khan, and all those kind of people. So it's really, like an example of if you have a strong will and a vision, things work out. Now, Prabir, what I want to ask you is, now there are lots of people who want to do outdoor stuff. They want to sweat, rap, trek, dirt, get into the dirt. But in the evening, they want to come back and sleep in a very luxurious place. What Wild Mahseer offers. So, I mean, can this be replicated in other areas? And what are the challenges? And if there's anything that can be done in other parts of Northeast, what's your take on this?
Okay, thanks Oken, thanks Indian Express, thanks Shillong, thanks everyone. The most distinguished guest we've had in Wild Mahseer is this gentleman. He got married there. Let me just take one step back, Oken. I'll just take 2 minutes. We were talking about the uncut, unexplored diamond of the Northeast. This is actually a very, very unique experiential place. We've got 2 major assets that we have in this region. One is our people and cultural heritage, and second is our environmental inheritance. In terms of, and remember, this is one region that has never been captured by the Mughals. This is one region where our rivers stem from Sangpo, and Sangpo means purity. And that river, the Brahmaputra, in peak monsoon season, stretches to 25 kilometers in width. That is the power and the might. And this gives life to our botany, to our flora, to our fauna. We have 30 game sanctuaries and national parks. One of them is a floating national park in Imphal. Okay? We've got 70% of the country's population of orchids. We've got 13 forest systems. We've got 2 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. We've got the blind Gangetic dolphin with probably the highest sonic sense in the world. We've got wild horses called feral horses. We've got the big 5. We've got 2,000 species of butterflies. I won't get to the reptile species because it's not the most popular thing to talk about. So there's lots to do, but people think that this will be a 2-week destination. No, it won't. Let me give you an example of Wild Mahseer. We've got the 10th edition of Kaziranga National Park, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, which is 40 minutes from Wild Mahseer. The Nameri Tiger Reserve with river rafting, 20 minutes. The Pake Tiger Reserve in Arunachal, 40 minutes. The Brahmaputra dolphin viewing, 1 hour 10 minutes. The monastery in Rangapara with the Jews history, half an hour. So, from one destination, you can actually get a glimpse of the culture and the environment of the entire Northeast if you want to. So it's so similar, it's so replicable. We've got 8 communities around us, mainly from the Sino-Tibet, Sino-Myanmar region, and the huge what we call the Adivasi tea tribes, who have come from the erstwhile Bengal presidency, right up from the hills down to Vizag in Andhra Pradesh. So we've got the people strength, we've got the cultures, we've got the cuisines, we've got the beverages. I mean, can you imagine Pamba being made from millet in Sikkim, and rice beer, which has got so many names in this region, being made from white rice, black rice, red rice. We are a winery in ourselves. So we've got adventure, we've got wildlife, we've got everything. Now what do we do in the evenings? We educate people about ourselves. Right? We have people who come in here. Look at the range of people that come into this region. From historians to environmentalists to naturalists to wildlife enthusiasts to spiritual people. You know that this region has the confluence of every single religion of the world, including Judaism and Sikhism. So our job, I think, in the evenings, if you really ask me, because there's very little to do except probably partying with the beverages, is to educate our guests that this is a natural heaven, this is your Shangri-La. This is from the Blue Hills to the Red Rivers. I think that is where I'd like to stop, because I think that is our primary role in the kind of role we all do when it's related to the Northeast.
But can you briefly share, your challenges you face with the wild washing going in the where you are located right now?
Yeah. See, we are located inside a tea garden, which we believe is a very unique kind of thing. We've developed our own botanic art, and we've got 90 varieties of birds visiting us, etc., etc., etc. Connectivity is one problem. Surface transport in this region is expensive. We did a rough back of the envelope calculation. For a couple to come and spend 2 nights, 45% of their cost is on Meghalaya. 2 is, we are so swamped by this whole thing of Kathiranga and Majuli and Kamakhya and the smallest island in India, Guwahati. The unexplored remains unexplored. So the challenges are actually, and we've managed to, we've always had people who are from the local communities. We have nobody from outside. They are home trained, homegrown. Our head chef today, who makes probably the finest soufflés in the world, his previous job was to chase monkeys in the catapult in a tea garden factory. We've got the talent, we've got the skill set, but it remains unexplored, for which we need policy interventions, for which we need an integrated tourism policy.
Excellent point from Prabir. And India has a big population, lots of travelers from different communities across India. So the footfalls are very strong. But tourism, at the end of the day, if it doesn't benefit economically to the people, if it doesn't enhances the community's lives, it really doesn't meet what it stands for. So, and also, there's so much of tourism going on, so much of push on the numbers. Like Prabir had mentioned, Kaziranga has lots and lots of, there's innumerable numbers of accommodations. So, and it's nice to have a place like Mahseer, where it's kind of balanced out in terms of quality. Ideally, I would like to have less people traveling with giving lots of money, rather than have lots of people traveling with less money, because we have to take care of the kind of impact these travelers have, whether it's ecological, environmental, or even culture. And I'm so happy there's lots of young people here today. What we delivered today, what we talked about, is all has to be brought to reality and practice by the new generation. Okay, let me get to the lady in the panel first. Sorry, haven't been very chivalric. Should have been the ladies first, but anyway. So Akanksha, besides many feeders in your cab, the hotels, the Waxpol hotels you have run. These are placed, I believe, it's placed close to parks and natural reserve. So you're at a very thin dividing line between active wildlife and natural ecological territory, and then tourism on the other side. And also you being part of the Sustainable Tourism Society. I'd like to get an insight into how you balance the delicate ecological and environmental impact with an active tourism activity on the other side.
Thank you so much again, and a very good afternoon to everybody here. So I work in the wildlife sphere. Just to give you a big background, my spaces are boutique wildlife resorts, and I work on a space of adventure and wildlife tourism. And this is also a very niche market, similar to what we have in the Northeast. You have these great outdoor spaces, you have a lot of natural heritage which we need to preserve, but at the same time we want to give our clients or our guests the experience that they can come back, they can come here, experience, take it back and send some more guests. Now, like you just mentioned right now, Oken, there's a very fine line about maintaining sustainability. Maybe I think, if I can understand the question correctly, is it how do you balance the tourism and not go to over-tourism while maintaining the essence of the destination? And I think that has been a challenge for us. We don't look at numbers. We look at large spaces. So each of my properties, we would say around 10 acres of land would just have, say, 10 rooms. or a 15-acre land just has 12 rooms. So we want people to come and experience the space and be able to see the wildlife in that area. All the people that we employ are locals. And what we do additionally is we tell them to cherish their culture. We don't want you to become like a Delhi wala, we don't want you to become a Mumbai wala, because when people are coming from the city to such an exotic destination, you have to let the destination remain exotic. You can't, like Pravida mentioned earlier, that we don't want a KFC, we don't want a McDonald's. You want to come and have the local cuisine, and that's what we were looking for on the way yesterday while we were traveling here. I do understand there are a lot of travelers who find comfort in their own home cooked food, but at the same time, we have to be very proud of the heritage, cultural heritage that we have. So in the Sundarbans Pench Ghana, we all practice one very simple concept of not creating waste. We have a lot of travelers who come. We have amazing numbers, 20 rooms, maybe 10 rooms check-in, check-out on a daily basis. Guests get their waste from the city and come to stay with us. But we have a very clear policy. You can carry your waste back with you. Because being in a rural location, we don't have waste management in place. And I think for that, like you mentioned, Prabir, that all the states need to work together and develop a fantastic circuit. So there can be a wildlife circuit where you can go to Pakhe, you can go to Manas, you can go to Gazinagat, which are known. But of course, there are many, like we heard earlier, that there's 70% of Meghalaya is green. So there can be certain species that we can site there and make a circuit so that Shillong is not stressed. We're able to route guests to different directions. And similarly, it can be done from a cultural angle. And I think that's the way we do it. By spreading the tourists to go to different areas and not coming to one space at one time. Does that answer your question? Or would you like to
Yes, excellent inputs, and really something we should imbibe and put into practice. So we're running short of time, but we have my friend Mr. Koul here. You're a veteran from ATOI, Adventure Tour Operator Association of India, and he's done lots of things in our region as well. So Northeast is a big space for outdoor stuffs, adventure tourism. Like Prabir had mentioned Siang, which originates from Mansarovar, flowing through Tibet as Sangpo, then Siang in Arunachal, then there's the Brahmaputra in Assam. So it's known as one of the best rivers for whitewater rafting in the world. And Meghalaya is, the caves in Meghalaya is completely top level. But one of the biggest concern is when people go out to do this kind of things. There are certain risks involved. When you're climbing a rock, you might fall off and even die. And then when you are rafting on a grade 4, 5 white water, you might sleep and you might die. So I think it's very important. We must have our safety measures and safety protocol in place. Unless that happens, the risks of losing lives or getting injured is always there. And also when tourists come, quality tourists come, they would always ask, are you certified if somebody has a heart attack in some situation on the track, do you know what to do? Or if somebody breaks a leg, on a rock climbing, do you have a personnel in your outfit to know how to handle the situation? So Mr. Koul, I would like to get your views on how do we put these things in place so that we have a quality tourism in the region.
Good afternoon, everyone. So you tell me we are short of time and then you want such a large topic to be discussed here. So 10 minutes I know, but they're not all for me, but I'll try. So adventure is a topic which probably needs weeks to discuss, if not months, and that too when you talk about Northeast. In the last 3 years, COVID has had huge impact on our lives, personal, professional, everywhere. And what has it taught us? COVID has taught all of us the importance of health, outdoors, and being with yourself. And what better place can be there than Northeast of India? There is so much to explore here. If you ask me why should people come to Northeast, first thing comes into my mind is the people of Northeast. Culture, the huge diversity, cuisines which Akanksha was mentioning. And talking about adventure, if I go by a textbook definition, what is adventure already? any activity, any trip which has cultural immersion, which has physical activity, which has natural environment is considered adventure holiday. And every nook and corner of northeast of India can give you adventure holiday. There is so much to explore. I mean, there is mighty Siang where you can go rafting. There is Brahmaputra where you can go top quality cruising. There is Nagaland with great Hornbill Festival. Of course, you can go for trekking. Sikkim has been for decades the playground for trekkings in the Himalaya. There is Manipur with great cultural influences, and the potential is immense in the northeast of India. It's just that we have to keep trying, we have to keep exploring, and of course, we have to maintain that balance of not going over the board, which has been a little case in some of the scenarios. Talking about what you asked, okay, outdoors, safety, it's such an important topic. I mean, see, accidents are kind of an inherent nature when you do adventure activities, but there is a thin line between an accident and being careless. We, as SnowLion Expeditions, have been in business for more than 30 years, and our focus always, apart from giving our customers a huge experience, is to make sure they are safe, is to make sure we are responsible. We always have been saying that, I mean, as a customer also there are responsibilities, of course, as an organizer, as a service provider also, there are responsibilities. If I talk in terms of a service provider, it's our responsibility to promote responsibly, first of all. We should not promise the moon to the customer. Of course, then it comes operate responsibly, to be very sensitive towards the locals, to be making sure that your money or the customer's money is reaching the last mile, and that is where adventure is really different than other verticals of tourism. It takes the money, it takes the dollar to the last mile connectivity, because you have to employ locals no matter what. You can't bring a pony or a pony man from somewhere in Delhi or somewhere in Mumbai. You can't have a local cuisine guy from somewhere different part of the city or region. Doesn't matter if it's northeast or other parts of India. So it takes the money to the last mile. In terms of customers, it's important that they choose responsibly. And also, when they travel, it's important that they travel responsibly. And it is huge amount of effort which is required to sensitize people. How to conduct themselves when they are traveling. They have to be sensitive when they are moving around. They have to make sure that they at least have a little bit of idea where they are going, not to shock yourself. Just book a holiday and land up there and you don't know what gear you should have been bringing. Of course, the responsibility lies with the operator also. But in terms of making it more safer, Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, state governments, I know, have become very conscious now, are working hard in putting guidelines in place, imposing regulations in place. And the answer to your question, okay, is sensitization. We have to keep sensitizing people, because adventure in India is growing leaps and bounds, especially in the last 3 years. It is going to see a huge shift in the next 10 years, I can tell you that. It is getting into $1 million industry in the coming years. And this is the time when we all have to be very careful towards our next steps. For Northeast, I would say Northeast is doing great in many verticals. Of course, there can be errors, there can be mistakes, but Northeast has other Himalayan states to look up to. Why should you make the same mistakes with the other Himalayan states have made, and then again go the same journey? So the importance is sensitization, having workshops like these, meeting more people, and being very clear that you will not compromise with quality no matter what.
Thank you for the call. That was all excellent. Well taken. So, very interesting session indeed, and we almost running out of time. But let me say again that Northeast and Meghalaya is indeed a very, very special place, and our USP is definitely our natural and cultural heritage. And if we don't have consciousness of our sustainability and responsible tourism, then things will go wrong way. So I think it's very, very important where we should take a stand what kind of tourism we want to conduct here. I've been coming to Meghalaya, like I mentioned, from a long, long time. I mean, first time I went to living root bridges. One was in 1999, so you can imagine. And those days I used to wonder, why don't I see any tourists here? Not domestic, nor white people. And then there was a lull for I think almost close to 10 years. Then all of a sudden, there was a rush. Now you see those lovely places, the canyon. What's the canyon? Yeah, that. Yeah, Lightroom, there were days I used to go out in the morning and I'll see for an hour, nobody would turn up. But now when I go back, there's not a place to stand yet, there's so much of people. So we have to ask ourselves, do we have to keep this going or we have to retrospect? It shouldn't be always push for the numbers unless it becomes unenjoyable for everybody. So I think we must have a USP, we must have a branding. I would give, for example, Bhutan as an example. So Bhutan is a beautiful, beautiful country, but I always say it's not more beautiful than Meghalaya or part of Arunachal. But the way they place themselves, like low volume, high end. Why do people go to? Why do DiCaprio, Jack Nicholson, and Meryl Streep go to Bhutan, but they don't come to Meghalaya because they have placed themselves. If they want a place where they could stay, paying $2,000 a night, completely left alone, they have a place. So I think it's about time we need to balance the kind of tourism we get here. So unless we have a USP, we have a clear branding of what kind of place we want to sell ourselves, either collectively or individually as state, then I think we might be in some kind of danger which we regret later. Look at Thailand, for example, is such a beautiful country, very, very conservative in terms of culture. But, accidentally it turns out to be, what the kind of image Thailand tourism or when people go to Bangkok is. So I think we need to understand where we're going. Thank you, everybody, again. I hope this was an interesting session for all of you, and hope to see you again. Thank you very, very much.
That was a lovely session. And if you have any doubts, you can ask. We can have 3 questions. Any questions? Just raise your hand. Oh, you. You raised his hand. Okay. Anybody, any questions? Okay. Please stand up and ask your question. Can you give him a mic? Yeah. Thank you.
Hello everybody. I am Pradeep Kumar from Northeastern Hill University, first semester in my PG. I have come from Bihar. So my question is, what are the challenges or what are the steps being taken to improve the pollution made by the companies which are just destroying the natural vegetation, especially in the northeastern areas? So that's my question.
I wish we had somebody from the government to answer that, but from what I know as a layman is all the regulations, ecological, environmental rules are in place and they are world class. We just need to put it in place. So I'm sure, especially places like Shillong, where the administrative mechanism works very well. So I'm sure those are taken care of. But I think this is something you can discuss with the government agencies. But on our part, our motto is always clean, sustainable, green kind of tourism. But tourism is just one industry. It's called the smoke-led industry, so you cannot, come strongly on us. But I'm sure these things are in place.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? 2 more questions? Okay.
Thank you so much. It's a great session from all the mentors who are here and everybody here. Good afternoon. My name is Prakash. I'm from Assam. I am a part of a travel company which is in Camp Adventures. We are a sustainable travel company. So my question here is, how do we measure the sustainable aspect? How do we know that we are more sustainable? Like let's say for example, Sikkim has banned plastic bottles, and can we take more measures? And my second question is, how do we deal with these adventure activities? Like let's say I am a mountaineer and a paramotor pilot, so we don't really get adventure gears or let's say training or support. So when we talk about adventure in ecotourism, The first question goes with sustainability, how we measure, and the second is how do we get more trainings and more, adventure gears to all the states.
Hello. Thank you so much for your question. So I will take the sustainability question and I will leave the adventure one with Vinayak. So sustainability does not only mean plastic, it has multiple facets. And today if you're coming here, all of us are here, you've all traveled. Did you travel in a group or did you travel individually? Even that affects your carbon, right? How much carbon emission are you catering to? Sustainability also means what do you do on a day-to-day basis, in your daily lives. It also means how your operations are done. Are you working on electronic mode? Even if you're working on electronic mode, are you saving so much data which is useless on the electronic mode, which is being saved on some server? So it's a very big aspect. But if you do want to know are you sustainable or not? There are a couple of certifications. These are self-certifications that you can do as a first step. They're offered by the Ministry of Tourism, Government of India, which is the STCI, the Sustainable Tourism Criteria for India, and the Responsible Tourism Society of India, RTSOI. They also have their self-certification. So what you do is basically go there, they will give you a handbook, they will guide you. You can assess your own company and your activities, how you're doing it. Because it's one step at a time. But you can't expect, you also at the same time need to educate the people and vendors you're working, because you are a tour operator, right? You said you're a sustainable company. If you don't mind me asking you quickly, why do you say you're a sustainable company?
We measure carbon footprints and then mitigate it to zero now.
So you're working towards net zero?
Yes.
Yeah. So that is one aspect. But also, since you are a tour operator company, you also have to look at sending tours to different areas within the Northeast, so that every region has economic development. Right?
Right.
So that's something you can focus on.
So we have almost 8 number of campsites in Meghalaya only now.
So that's 8. Maybe if there are other people coming to the stage, you can move further off and help another village.
Right.
That would be a sustainability impact. Absolutely. And at the same time, working with local people, training them, upskilling them will be a great support. Yeah.
The idea is to get more insight from the government side and more understanding on how we can be more responsible.
So that's why I said you can approach the Responsible Tourism Society of India for that.
Yes.
That's one. Or you can also take the help of the STCI. That's done by the government. That was actually designed by the Responsible Tourism Society of India for the ministry.
All right.
So I hope that answers your question. And I will pass it to Vinayak for the second one.
If I make it easy for you, your answer to outdoor gears, I would say decathlon, but you have a few more lines.
Yeah, so good question.
It's short of time.
Good questions, first of all. Yeah, it gives me my say short of time, and you want me to speak. So, as an industry, we are facing this issue, outdoor gears, also the other things which you mentioned. I would say, as a company, you should get in touch. You should become a member of Ministry of Tourism, get the approval. Why I'm saying, and also become the national body for adventure tourism, which is Adventure Tourism Association of India, which is ATOI, because it exposes you to what is happening nationally and internationally in terms of getting gears in different places. It's a challenge. We as association, as trade bodies are requesting, fighting with the governments to make it as cheap as possible, to waive off the excise duties, import duties, etc., etc. But with my experience of about 2 decades, I can say it is all about being in touch with the circle, getting more of exposure, attending seminars like these, and being in touch. You can get in touch with your state governments. I'm sure there are policies. I'm sure there are many grants available which can help you in the issues like these. Thank you.
Yes, ATOI is the national body for adventure tourism. So anybody who's in adventure tourism activities, I encourage them to take membership. Our young Samuel Dua is a member here, so he will lead the torch in Meghalaya. And thank you again, everybody. Thank you.